All right, we're here with the Berns Air King. I'm going to try and get the blades off. This fan sat for so long, and it's not, I don't know, who knows if they'll actually come off. If we can get them off, then we can take the motor apart, dust and clean the motor, and dust and clean the case a little more studiously. She's very dirty. I think I did some, I did the best I could with it without getting it apart. So let's see, the first question is, will the set screw come out? And then if it does, will the blades come off? So we'll see. All right, so here we are at the back of the Berns, and yeah, it's pretty gross. As you'd expect. This has maybe an oil port there. Could that be an oil port? That little hole right there? It looks like it, maybe. I don't know. That's a good question. What does it say here? Berns Air King Corp. Permanently lubricated, so obviously. That's how it's wired. So yeah, we're gonna let's see if the blades will come off. Let's take a look at the other one and see if that one has oil ports. I think the older one has oil port. All right, the earlier one definitely has an oil port right there, as you can see, and there's a little cup. It does in fact. It's not just a hole. It does have a port for Earl. All right, let's see if the set screw moves. Okay. Ah, yes it does. A little stiff, but moment of truth. Last couple, we've had luck with this. Nope. So let's get out the super can of stuff and spray it down. All right, you can use PB Blaster. You can even use double D WD-40. I have this stuff from my brother. It's called BG In Force. It doesn't have a lot of marketing stuff on it, just some. All right, so it's really only been a minute or two, but let's see if we got any change here. It'll need a puller then. We'll have to use a puller on it. All right. It's okay. Come back and do that then. All right, I might fast forward you on this because it actually takes a little bit sometimes to get this all lined up right. I've got a little hollow piece deal, and you kind of need something like that, or at least something with a hole drilled in it so that this will cradle right in the center, because you've got a point here, and this is really unwieldy unless it has a place to cradle in. So this is just small enough to fit inside the opening for the shaft here, so this might work okay. And then the other thing we have to be really careful about is we have to make sure that we don't allow it, once this all pulls through, we don't want to allow it to fall into the motor onto the windings. That's another thing we want to watch out for. So, and this might be too tall, and I might not be able to get the puller on the hub. So we don't know. We're going to find out. There's our blades. Very nice. Berns Air King. All right, guys. Here we is with the newer Berns Air King. Got this, I don't know, early fall, late fall, early, I don't know when I got it. I've had it a little while. It was a nice day when I got it, an estate sale. It was an interesting scene. It was an old house with a big barn, and there were people living in the barn. Like, there was a house out there, old-fashioned, family home type situation. You really don't see that anymore. It was odd. Grab this guy. We'll turn around and take a quick look. All right, so this is probably the last fan I'll ever buy. I mean, let's face it, it's COVID. We're going into a Great Depression, and a lot of people aren't that worried. But I wasn't born yesterday. And these are serious, serious times. But nonetheless, we're going to clean any dust and dirt out of the box more than we had before, and we're going to pull the motor apart. It's only got two bolts holding them together. Shouldn't be that big a deal. We got to get these metal clips off so that we have a little area to move the That's really hard right there. I'm a little worried about that right there. You know, a lot of people do is they heat them up, and I might have to do that. It's so cold. You know, if that goes, then we're rewiring the motor, which we don't want to do all that to this fan. It's not in the worst of shape. I just want to get some of the dirt off of it. So maybe, I don't know. I am a little worried about this. Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, this is an interesting little fan item. These clips, I just thought they were wires, but they actually have a hole and they're run through. Very interesting. Again, I'm really worried about the brittleness of this piece of cable here coming out of the motor, but we're going to try anyway. All right, the motor's down. I left one clip on to keep this end from moving around too much. Not so bad so far. I got the shaft cleaned off, needed a lot of, it was pretty gummed up. You gotta remember, that's one of the first things you wanna do if you're gonna pull a motor apart, because it makes getting this off easier, and then you're not gonna, less likely to damage the bearing. You can't get all the way up in there, but something to think about. All right, let's pull this motor apart. We got some numbers here. 239, doesn't tell us much. Probably not a date. All right, more to come. All right, pretty interesting on the rotor. I mean, you know, it's a freaking rotor, no big deal. But man, there's these springs on it. The one side has a washer. The washer probably stuck inside there. Otherwise than that, it just kind of looks like a Macmillan motor. There are indeed oil ports. I would venture to say that goes right to the port. And no, that wasn't drilled by somebody. That's factory. That's clean. So it does have oil ports. Interesting. You still got to get the blades off to get in there. And then that would be behind, I'm pretty sure that's behind the mount here on the back side. So I don't think you could oil it without taking the motor down. But nonetheless, that looks like what that is. I washed out that little bearing down there. It is a bronze bearing, which is interesting. So I'm going to clean it up. There was zero oil on the bearing or the shaft. Yeah, this is bone dry, as we expected. So we'll get her oiled up, get her put back together, and get as much dirt off of it as we can. And be as careful with this wire here as we can. Oh yeah, good times, good times. All right, here's the stator, and these had tape on them, but a lot of it is gone. Got it cleaned out, gonna oil her up. Doing our best not to stress the wire. We've learned that's a big deal. Got as much of the dust without, you know, being able to really move this around too much. I got as much of the dust off of it as I can. You know, the Lakewoods, I've been taking them out, but you know, this little knob here is probably super freaking breakable. So I'm gonna leave it all assembled. At least we'll get the motor oiled and we'll get her back together with a little less dust in it, and we'll give her a run, and we'll have her ready for summer, should we make it to summer. So here we go. All right, we got her oiled and put back together. It's not screwed together yet. I haven't put the bolts on, but I got it lined up. It still needs to press together a little bit over here. I'm hoping the bolts help with that. I think they went here and here, and here's our top with our oil port. So yeah, we'll get it together and make sure it's free, and we'll give it a little test run once it's mounted. All right, the other thing I wanted to show you was holding it on to the case. It had these little sheet metal, I wouldn't call them screws, they don't have a thread, they're just really fasteners, right? Sheet metal fasteners, probably pot metal or aluminum or some garbage. But this is what I thought that the Cenac, the Lasco, the 50s Lasco, but this is more of a later, cheaper option. So we'll get this mounted. I got it screwed together, and we got a real nice spin down. Looks pretty darn good. You know, this goes all the way together. There's no play. You know, the Macmillans, you can put them on too far and they can be off center. So we got it all lined up. It looks pretty good. So that's good news. So we'll get this mounted. All right, motor's mounted. I haven't put the clips on yet. I'm going to keep cleaning a little bit. But, you know, that's a pretty darn good spin down. Nice and quiet. The springs, it's interesting. It's really got, let me move this so you can see. But it's got a little bit of spring to it. It's a really interesting idea. I think that's a great idea, actually. Better than the felts, because the felts, as we know, have deteriorated over time. So let's go and run it. Let's make sure it's nice and quiet. Yeah. Nice and quiet. Nobody's junk is out of there, hair and dust and dirt. So there you go. So next thing we'll do is I'm going to clean the blades and the grills and we'll put it back together. All right, so the blades are back on, set screw is in, and let's see, I'll tell you that is not bad. Tell you what it isn't either. It's not bread. Get it? Not bread. This Simpsons reference has been brought to you by Zoom Spout. Zoom Spout, zoom your spout. Okay, I'm going to put the grill on and we'll run it. All right, so with the Berns Air King 2-speed Chicago, Illinois, we're looking for 2.7 amps. That's a lot, but it's an old fan. So we're here with she's into the meter, so we'll be able to check the amp. And let's go too high. Interesting. It took a second to get up speed, and there was a funny sound, but everything's secure. Yeah. Quiet. And low. Oh, that's high. Okay, I had it backwards. It was high first. Should have known that. So we'll just spin down and we'll check it out on the meter. I don't know what that sound could have been. It was one of those little pieces of paper on the windings or whatever, because everything's kosher here. Could have been a little, it wasn't the grill. All right, well, let's go to high. Let's watch the meter. It's running 1.5-ish. So there you go, got it rolled up. It was bone dry. There was no lubrication in this thing. Even though it spun fairly freely, it didn't make any bad noises. So that's, you know, bad noise or running slow are not really telltales, you know. Back to high. Obviously it doesn't warmed up. You let it warm up and then you really know more, but for now that's good. And there it is. I'm pretty sure I'd have to go back to the tape from last time, but I'm pretty sure that's definitely spinning better and it's nice and quiet. Got the rest of the sort of dirt out of it. You know, a little rusty, but not that worse for the wear. And it's nice and cleaned up and we got the crap out of the motor. So I feel good about that. And we'll run it a bunch this summer. And hopefully summer will be better times in America and for people and coronavirus and all that stuff. So on a serious note, take care of yourselves and your family. Wear masks. Wash everything down. This is not a joke. It's not a liberal hoax. The coronavirus is a real deal. It's something they'll be teaching history classes for 100 years. We're living through it. So don't think it's not serious. It's totally serious. So anyway, that's enough of my pontificating. There's the Berns Air King with the bigger blades. Big fan of this type of fan. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves.